Hello, I'm James Goulding, editor of Technology Reseller magazine, and with me here today I've got NFON, a provider of business communications from the cloud, and we're going to be talking about the opportunities for IT resellers in business communications. With me I've got Hemal Gajjar, UK Technical Director, and Chris Selby-Rickards, UK Marketing Director. Hemal and Chris, good to have you here.
Thanks for having us, James.
Can you tell me, for those of us who don't know about NFON, can you tell me a little bit about NFON's background?
Of course. So NFON was founded in Germany, Munich, in 2007. That's correct. Yeah. And we are ultimately a pan-European provider, as you said, of business communications based in the cloud. We opened in the UK in 2013 and have grown, I'm not going to say exponentially since then, but we've certainly grown a lot over the last 10 or 11 years and now have a network of around about 200 active partners across the UK and Ireland.
What are NFON's key differentiators and USPs?
I would say the best thing about NFON at the moment is that we own our own platform. It's designed by us. The R&D on the platform is our own. That means that we are able to be really agile. We can develop new features really fast, be ahead of the game. And it really means that we can sort of control the market quite well, and especially in terms of what we're offering to our end users.
Just actually second to that, we floated on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange a few years ago and raised an awful lot of capital. The reason behind that was to be able to pump money back into the R&D, and it's what we were doing all throughout the sort of lockdown periods, is very much developing the platform. What I would say is that we're completely channel based, so we only work with resellers, we don't sell to end users, but we work hand in hand with our partners. So they obviously listen to their customers and what their customers need, and in turn feed that back through to us. So our R&D schedule, if you like, is very much based on what our customers are wanting.
And for sort of UK resellers, that's very good, having that ability to sort of influence the product development.
I think so, yeah, because it makes them able to essentially tailor their offering to their customer base.
And what are the key sort of growth areas for NFON at the moment?
I wouldn't say they are just for NFON. I think market growth areas. Technology changes from one day to the next. We went from sort of just telephony to unified communications, and now the trends are moving towards what we would call collaboration-enabled licenses. So it's more than just dial tone and a voice. People are wanting to utilize tools like Microsoft Teams more, but in a single interface, in a single offering. From our perspective, we've spent a lot of time and money developing our Microsoft Teams integrations and continue to push that. And we're seeing, as predicted, more and more companies across the spectrum. I mean, we predominantly work within the SME space. That's not to say that we don't have enterprise customers. We absolutely do. And we can service enterprise customers. But more and more companies, with things like the ISDN switch off coming up and moving from an on-prem system to a cloud system, going straight into collaboration only. So they're wanting these different types of integrations, mostly with Microsoft Teams. I'm not going to say that it's exclusively. And that's led our development to mean that we've got, four routes to market now?
We've got 4 route to markets. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're targeting IT resellers. We know that they're comfortable with Microsoft. It's going to be a big push. As Chris said, ISDN switch off. Users are comfortable with using Microsoft products. So we have a SIP trunk offering. We have our direct routing, which is a very much enterprise grade because it works and integrated with Cloudia, our platform. We know Operator Connect eventually will start to become the more dominant player, but currently it's direct routing.
I think as well, what we're finding, particularly with IT resellers, is that they're needing to expand their portfolio. Voice is a very obvious addition to that. But their customers are, you've got cost of living crisis. Everybody's very conscious of costs and things like that. But you've got people wanting to consolidate all of their services into sort of one offering. So you will no longer have one person to do your telephony, one person to do your photocopiers, one person to do your connectivity. They're coming to, and in particular, I think this is where IT resellers are winning, is that they've got the bulk of that skill set. And as Hemal was saying, the knowledge around Microsoft and things like that infrastructure, they know it. And so adding voice in can be challenging, but that's why you've got people like us on hand to kind of hold your hand, literally, to go to market with that. But their customers are wanting one supplier, one invoice, one price. And that's what's driving this change.
I think that's very true. And so presumably having control of your own platform makes these sort of integrations a lot easier. And
100%. We can always, we work well with our partners. We're always engaging with them, getting feedback from them, and from that we can always, that process is very smooth back into our development, and we can produce whatever features are needed. In terms of integration, it's not difficult at all. We have the right parts of the platform ready so that we can integrate with things like Teams and offer out whatever new comes to market.
And are you seeing much demand for cloud contact centres? And is that an area in which you...
Massive.
Yeah. It's been very popular, isn't it?
Yeah. Without wanting to plug our own product, but we launched Contact Center Hub, which is our cloud contact center offering, beginning of last year. Yeah, beginning of last year. And I think people get quite nervous about contact center because they've got these preconceived images of, great big rooms full of agents wearing headsets, which is not what a cloud contact center is at all. But they think it's a very complex and difficult thing. It's not. Customer experience has overtaken. It's the number one trend now when you can't compete with price and product alone. And one of the biggest ways to achieve that is to have the right omni-channel solution in place so that your customers can do it their way. We're calling it, and it's not just us calling it, other people are calling it, it's an informal contact center. So it's where you are a small business, you might just need 1 or 2 or 3 agents or more, dependent. But you can get hold of this technology, which traditionally was perhaps very expensive. You don't have to have the big CX estate behind it. You can have your users or your agents working from home if needs be. So it's a really big growth area for us, massive. And actually, we forecasted it would be in a specific sector of our build, or sector, sort of size business. But we've seen growth across all different ones now, particularly mid-market.
Presumably, Hemal, you as the technical director will be looking at AI and developments like that. Is that something that you're exploring?
Yes, NFON, we've now got a whole division that's sort of dedicated to AI. AI in terms of the contact center is already there. We're trialing it. We are encouraging our partners to sort of actually use it because it's quite a scary topic at the moment. It's with anything naturally new and changes can be a bit daunting, but actually it's amazing. We've seen the impressive results from how these AIs can actually learn and provide a customer service that's just a very superior experience.
I think, and so much of this, again, it's coming from the end user. People hear about AI and they don't know what it is, or they do know what it is, but there's real life examples where the customer is pushing the partner, and they've got a fantastic relationship, so you're not going to see people jumping to other providers. They will ultimately if there isn't those sort of features available, but then our partners, and it's what we particularly like is our partners put the pressure on us. And again, it keeps us, we know where, if you like, the pain points are and the challenges, and have got a very big R&D operation that then match their to-do list, if you like, with those.
So Chris, could you tell me a little bit about NFON's route to market in the UK?
Yeah, sure. So we sell exclusively through the channel. We've never sold direct to end users, and we never will sell direct to end users. There's obvious benefits with that. From our perspective, you get a instant access to a much wider end user base, and you vastly increase your skill set as well. Helps you break into new markets, new verticals, things like that. From a reseller perspective, they've got a choice of business models. So we offer wholesale, which is great, because if you want to then control your own margins, etc., then you can take that. Or which is what we find a lot of newer and smaller partners, particularly if they're new into the market, they come in as a commission partner. So there's no financial risk for them. We take all of the risk. And they manage and upsell our services to the customer and get a commission fee in return for that.
That must be quite a popular option for IT resellers that might be new to voice.
Almost exclusively, actually. There are a few larger companies, but what you find is that they were perhaps something else that then merged with an IT company that merged with something, and they've kind of become a big beast, and are very much all about wholesale. But we work with smaller businesses. We always have. And for the moment, we always will. So being able to do billing for them, for example, is a really big thing. Our experience in how to sell voice, our technical support, marketing support, sales support, pre-sale support, support. We offer a complete wraparound. So if you've got someone that's like, I know I need to do this, I know it's going to really help my bottom line, help. We can literally kind of come in and go, right, here you go. And we can work and develop and get you where you want to be.
I think it's just important that we can really tailor our route to market with our channel partners, and we can really target and not have to worry about focusing on two different divisions. It's about working with the channel. That means, like Chris said, our support is dedicated to providing a support to channel. All our billing, all of those elements, even goes as far as going to implementation and design, we are working with a channel partner who has a level of experience. That means that we can deliver things much quicker.
And so what sort of developments can we look forward to from NFON in the next sort of 6 months to 12 months?
Look, we continue to develop our portfolio. We were talking about Teams earlier, and that's great, the voice integrations and having those different options, but we're also developing, there's an analytics side of things, a compliance side of things. I wouldn't say that they're developing them, they're already there, but adoption can take time. And what I mean by analytics is where you might have your traditional call and queue analytics for a standard PBX. This is looking at it from everything happening through the Teams interface perspective. And there's different offerings. There's your sort of standard analytics, but then also compliant recording, which covers all the interactions that happen between the Teams offering, on the Teams interface even. We continue to work with our contact center vendor to improve and upskill and develop the contact center solution, particularly when it comes to AI. I'm not as up to date with what those developments are because I'm not massively technical, but those are probably the priority focus areas for us.
I think especially moving into the second half of the year, we're going to take what we've had, the market showing us, all the research from the first 5, and that's going to be, adopted into the second half of the year. And like Chris said, AI is going to be definitely a big push. It's the big buzzword, but we really want to make it work, and it's got to work to a point that it's user friendly. And people don't want to be avoid it, but they want to embrace it. That's going to be shown in our contact center solution, and it's going to be, I think, a big game changer. So it's going to be that sort of drive. The knowledge drive is going to be there. Working with teams is going to continue. We see that getting only stronger. Research has told us that X amount of business is going to be moving into teams anyway.
I think as well, it's great that there's always product development, adding new features and things like that, but we also constantly evolve and improve our processes, so how we work with partners, what services and support we offer our partners. You find a lot of vendors can be quite rigid, and as Hemal was saying, we adapt to their needs and provide them what they need as opposed to what we think they need. And that's, again, it's something that is constantly being looked at and finessed and improved as much as we can.
If a reseller is interested in getting into voice, what should they do?
Find out what your existing customers need. In terms of sales, listen to them. If they're not asking for it and they don't need it or they don't want it, are you able to find new customers easily without massive investment that do? I think it's, everything is driven by the end user. There's no point spending time and money and effort and resources to adapt your business to something that none of your customers want. Now, thankfully, communications is something that every business needs, and we were talking about moving away from sort of voice-only licenses to these collaboration-enabled licenses. The majority of the business world use Microsoft applications, and so I think you'd be hard pushed not to find a need, but go with the needs of your customer base first, and then start looking at how you can develop net new from there, and get in touch, talk to us, say, look, I don't know how to do it, I want to do it, can you? And I mean, that's what we're here to do, really. I think it's really important, whenever we do, if you like, partner recruitment, we don't just sign people up and let them kind of, it's like pushing someone in the pool and hoping that they learn how to swim. It's got to be a right fit on both sides. And if we don't think that we're a right fit for them, we'll say so. And in most cases are not precious about saying, listen, I actually think maybe you should speak to our competitors. And it goes back to what their customers need. Your customers are asking for this specific thing. We can't do that, or it's different to how they want it. Speak to these guys.
So we hear a lot in the press about the ISDN switch off. Is that something that IT resellers should be looking to exploit?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, their customers are going to be affected by it if they haven't moved from an on-premise system already. And when I was talking earlier about converging suppliers and people just wanting one invoice, one price, multiple services from one supplier, and therefore they should go out and talk to their customers. There's been a little bit of the stay of execution because the switch off has been pushed back to the beginning of 2027. I think our position hasn't changed. Start looking at it sooner rather than later. These processes always take much longer than you realise, and it gives you time and options, and there's nothing worse than having to make a last minute decision and then it's like, oh damn, hindsight. And that's probably from my perspective.
Yeah, I would just to add to that, I would say that we saw a massive change when COVID happened. This is going to be a big change, right? Having telephony, having ISDN was a business need. I think it's going to force a lot of people to have to go into a different market. And why not? If you're an IT reseller, it's just something that you can layer on top. And we've seen it in a lot of sectors. Governments are giving grants, so who knows, depending on what sector, there's probably going to be more of that happening as that date becomes closer and closer.
For IT resellers, it's a great opportunity to talk about that whole sort of business transformation.
Yep.
And it wraps everything up, doesn't it, into...
But again, as with everything, talk to your customers. what do they need? Give them what they need.
So thank you very much for that introduction to NFON and the opportunities for IT resellers in business communications. Clearly there's a lot happening in the market, lots of developments and opportunities for helping your customers make the transformation to a sort of all IP future. So thank you both for coming.